year, I'm going to be holding your feet to the fire, Don, because there are some things that need to be done, and we're going to work together to do them. I want you to help me bring up Representative Don Ross. Thank you.
To the Reverend Clergy, Mr. Scott, Texas, to National Board President Robert Starr from Texas, a place where we love the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. And we despise the Texas Longhorns. I'm a little hurt that Jack asked Rebecca and Carmen to sing, but I have that talent also. And I wouldn't ask. And I also lie. Mr. Allen, the state president, to my good friend, the Honorable Susan Savage, and let me say this. I have known every mayor of this town since the early 1960s with Jimmy Maxwell, who this is his name for. And in my experience, the mayor is the first one to break the conspiracy of silence and publicly admit we had a race riot here in 1921. I never heard a mayor say that. Some of you went to a reception to Greenwood Culture Center. It ought to be publicly known that the mayor laid the last money, to lay the last brick to get that done, and I will eternally appreciate her for her involvement in that effort. To my good friend, Senator Horner, who worries me to death and telling me what I ought to be doing, none of which I really want to do, but she makes me do it, and I'm happy that she does. Jack Hudson, the president of this fine organization, who follows in a tradition that brought me in. And I will tell you that my involvement in civil rights activity began in NAACP's Youth Council under B.S. Roberts. The president was Amos Hall. And through that relationship, when they would come to town, Amos Hall would have us to his home, and I had a chance to meet Clarence Mitchell. His son and I later served in the legislature as the president of the National Black Caucus of State Legislature. And when he heard I won, he told his son, take care of Amos's boy Don, and he did. Aaron Henry, I met at Amos Hall's house out of Clarksdale, Mississippi. Thurgood Marshall, I was there. And I can tell you some things that history won't tell you about some of those gatherings, because Amos wanted us young people involved with what he called was history. And I feel honored that I was a part of that bit of Oklahoma history with Jake Simmons and all those great names that I knew as a young man. I'm proud of the history I know and understand of the NAACP. Niagara Movement in 1905, W.B. Du Bois put together a small group because principally they were lynching black folks to stop that lynching. And here we are many, many years later, and they're still lynching black folks economically. So you're here to follow that tradition of the Niagara Movement that we got to stop the lynching, whether politically, economically, or by the rope, and I appreciate your efforts. NAACP has a tradition here because in Oklahoma, legal segregation was invented in Oklahoma. In the South, they just practiced it. They just did it. We had to have a cloak in Oklahoma because to becoming a union, they said that Oklahoma couldn't come in as a segregated state. So what they did, before statehood, Oklahoma was thoroughly integrated. After the first bill passed, after statehood was Senate Bill 1, that segregated our schools, our cars, everything public. That's Oklahoma. The grandfather clause was invented in Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, you have to know this history. Blacks could not go to institution of higher education. Many of us got better education because some of our teachers were more qualified than the whites, because you could only go to Langston. If you sought a master's degree, Oklahoma would pay you to go anywhere but Oklahoma. As a consequence, many of our educators came to us with master's degree from great universities. So when my generation graduated in high school, we had an equivalent of a liberal arts degree in high school. Thurgood Marshall, Amos Hall, and the rest of them, NAACP came to Oklahoma and said, that is wrong. That is wrong. Blacks should have an education in Oklahoma. Scipio versus the state of Oklahoma. Not only desegregated higher education for Oklahoma throughout the South, and you owe that to Thurgood Marshall and Oklahoma. Yeah. I just want to add a footnote before I'm making our presentation. When they brought the Indians here in the 5 civilized tribes, some of us came with them. We were part of it. I can trace my family back to 1854 in Grayson, Oklahoma, and I is an Indian. If Mrs. Peters from the Southwest region will come forward. Oklahoma owes the NAACP a lot, and we ought to show you our appreciation. At the end of last session, I passed an unnoticed bill. People didn't know what they were voting on. And it was that the NAACP, for all it has done to Oklahoma, ought to have a commemorative license plate. That is law now. I had planned on presenting your national president to the first one. We didn't get it done right. It was going to be the first one that had O on it. Jack Henderson going to get 0001. And it wasn't prepared, but I have it today. And let me tell y'all something. These license plates will go on sale in the state of Oklahoma for $20 next month. They will replace your license tag. But we don't sell 20 of them in a year, they're going to kill it off. Here's the license tag. It says, if you can see it, Oklahoma salutes the NAACP. The numbers will go here, and it'll be trimmed in the freedom colors, red, black, green, and yellow. Says, we appreciate what you've done, we appreciate your changing our history and making black folks everywhere better off because of your efforts. All right.